The name Vincent Price. Some people, you either know it or you don't. I am aware of who he is. I have seen not one of his movies excluding Dead Heat. And I never really paid too much attention to him outside the Deep Purple song, the single that was released in 2013, and James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, doing his yearly, what was that, 31 Days of Halloween, a scary movie reviews, and he did a tribute to Roger Corman, including a 35-minute massive video tribute to all the Poe adaptations that Corman produced. And I can highly say that it's an interesting video. I mean, it's great. I learned a lot, but I really didn't give it any thought until I said, you know what, it's time. It's like if I'm reviewing James Bond, I'm going to I'm going to watch all these movies, one of them being The Pit and The Pendulum, which is a take off the, what is his name? Something Poe. Yes, Edgar. This is based off the classic Poe poem. Poe himself Edgar William Poe was a tortured poet back in the 1800s, but some of the stuff he wrote, man, was it? Of course, The Raven being the most famous one, The Philosophy of Furniture, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and he got, his movies were freaking fantastic. Poems were fantastic when he died, saying Reynolds after being discovered beat up and stuff like that. But what he left, though, including The Pit and The Pendulum, was truly great. This is a true melodramatic gothic masterpiece. I love this movie a lot. However, this is a 1961 piece, so of course it's going to be a little bit style of filmmaking presented to a different audience and generation at a time. As I kept that in mind, this movie is a slow burn. The definition of, even though it's 80 minutes, it does take a little bit to get going. I wasn't bored, but I didn't know what to expect. I have not seen too many gothic horrors outside of Nosferatu and some The Night of the Werewolf or something like that. So, a Spanish movie. Anyway, yeah, I think that the atmosphere and Vincent Price's performance was so fantastic that it propels this movie into truly legendary territory. It's so just chef's kiss. I mean, even though the budget is small, they make use of clever camera work and just the eerie atmosphere. It's like there's no fog machines, but the torture chamber and just the walls and everything else is so beautiful and gothic. It's, I would say, even further back than Tudor. Yeah, I would say probably Tudor style homes set in Spain in 1547, if I'm not mistaken, when this man, Francis Barnard, comes to his home from England, travels there to Spain to inquire about his sister's death, like what's going on. And, it's like he's not being told the information at first, but eventually they do start to discover, like, yeah, what's going on here is that this one guy, Don Milani or something like that, is he is burdened by his father's torture chamber master, and he's trying to forget all about it. It's such the melodrama that goes on in here. It's like, it works so well combined with the atmospheres. I'm just like, yes. Of particular notice is the matte paintings of the castle, which just adds to the isolation and the waves crashing up on it, almost as if the fury that is about to come. And also the, like, in the beginning is the unconscious side of the brain that Barnard is feeling. It's just so drenched in atmosphere, just even though it is color in the sets. But when we get to go towards those last 20 minutes, of when Price's character, his brain just snaps, and he, in his mind, I guess, regresses towards that of his father. Thinks that there's this one doctor, is his brother Bartolome, and throws him off a cliff. It becomes so vicious. I'm just like, oh yes, this was so worth the wait. And it's just like, yeah, music is great, and but when we get to the actual, like, the pendulum itself and how it's slowly swinging, the tension, the dread that's just happening is so, ooh. I was sitting inside this little chamber where that is just so great. When it's slowly coming down, you just look at it and you're like, you just get the chills just thinking about it. And of course, where is this one at? I've got some trivia here for you. The Pit and the Pendulum set the tone for the rest of the Edgar Allan Poe films that would be shot in California backlots or Carmel seascapes, with the set saved and revamped by Danny Holler and photographed by Floyd Crosby. Music by the always underrated Les Baxter made these films look and sound so special that they made the case for the American horror film at a time when the Hammer Films of England seemed to dominate the world market of the 60s. That means Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. The Haunted Palace... hang on a second. The Pit and the Pendulum was a much bigger production. Far more attention was paid to it in the press. I remember countless visits. Countless set visits from every trade paper in Hollywood and a New York... and a few New York ones as well. The set and costumes were more elaborate than for Usher, and for once we had a pretty good cast. The young woman playing my wife was especially effective as she had this amazing face and presence that was tailor-made for this type of film. We got on almost at once. Barbara Steele was her name. Although we didn't get to know each other well, we certainly had fun making this one together. I remember she was rather shy and dear. She arrived on her very first day barefoot, the opposite of what she would be expecting an ingenue to be. She was without pretense and head over heels in love with Italy at the time, working with Mario Bava, by the way. Vincent expressed his admiration for Roger Corman during an interview in his home while discussing the making of Pit. Roger had this all mapped at the perfection as far as he was with the camera, and rehearsed with the little time we had, knowing full well it was basically expected of us on the floor. Marge Corso found a beautiful dress for my wife while I wore the most uncomfortable collar, since I was the one to wear over at one of those years before when I was playing Sir Walter Raleigh with Betty Davis. I love the cowl at a don when I was playing the evil father. The outfit is how I remember whenever Poe films are brought up. I took a lot of flack for the performance with some members of the press at the time of the film's release, and later on it was in the court. It was of course my choice to go out like that. I imagine it was to be expected, and I had discussed it. Roger and I had discussed it at length, and since my performance in Usher had been so mannered and fragile, I really needed to try something just the opposite of the next one. The screenplay was filled with all these grand gestures and florid dialogue. It seemed everyone was expecting this kind of performance from me. I simply let go whenever I could, hoping I was in the moment, as it were. And particular moments are the dream sequences or flashbacks that are tinted in blue to show exactly what happened. It's like they laid it in, they had this monochrome hue, and it just adds more to the dreariness and no production of it, and you just look at it and you're like, this is so great, with a camera tinted and everything else, and then running through it, what was that, an optics printer or something like that. So that even though this is a low budget production, what Corman is able to do so dang well, I'm just like, yes, I like this. Just the vivid use of color. But with this being a slow burn, it is not for everyone. It's more of it's a gothic atmosphere that just works so well. You just look at it and you just have to think, I appreciate the effort. This is a movie you pay attention to with the great costumes and everything. Think Shakespeare. There you go. So yeah, if you want to see a gosh darn great movie that's just so drenched in atmosphere and color, and, and that, especially that last finale with this amazing pendulum. You can find more information about this on Wikipedia. Then I highly recommend that you watch The Pit and the Pendulum.